So what we're going to talk about is how to look at, we were talking about the modes, light from dark, or light to dark church modes. Lydian, Ionian, Mixolydian. Oops, I skipped Dorian. There's Dorian. Natural minor Aeolian. And then I said, hey, to get a better idea of hands to notes, limit to one octave, but then just limit to the first 5 notes. So, and we're in the key of E here. So there's Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So, Fi, the raised Fa. There's Lydian. There's major. There's minor, and then there's the Phrygian, what we call the lower tetrachord, or really it's the lower tetrachord plus 1. It's the first 4 notes of the scale and the 5th. So it's just a little limitation exercise. So work your way through the first 5 notes, starting on your first finger. So and just play up and down. It's great to have a drum go. Notice I'm going back to the first finger. Then major. Now let's see, minor. Still starting on the first fingers. So in some ways it's a little bit of a shift because now I'm moving up. I could do, there are options. And looking at those options is not a bad thing to do at all. We're going to see that option pop up again when we look at starting on our second finger. And then Phrygian, so with the flat 2. So now I've gone through all those possibilities of the first 5 notes, starting everything on my first finger. And now I'm going to start on my second finger. There's major, there's Lydian, major. Then minor, like I said, there's options. Oh, I could do a shift. Like that. Which one I will choose in playing real music will depend on where I'm going next and everything else that's happening, but I do like to say that I prefer shifts to what's called an extension. This is called a first finger extension because I'm putting a fret between the first and second finger. And I'm not a bit, I'll avoid extensions when I can, but I'll use them when I need to. But in other words, this has 2 options. So a good thing to do to avoid confusion is to just acknowledge the fact that there are 2 options and then choose one and practice that one. And when you've got it down, then practice the other one. So that's closer to where you were, so I'm going to go with that. That's minor, and then there's your Phrygian. Starting on the second finger. Okay, now start on the third finger. I'm going to reverse the direction, so I'm going to start on Phrygian and go up. They're starting on the third finger. Just for giggles, there's a couple options. There's probably more than the 2 I'm going to eliminate here, but I could go to that B that way, or I could also go this way, like that. Like that. Okay, Phrygian, so now I need minor, starting on the third finger. I don't almost never do that, but you can do it. 4th finger extensions on both the D string. I'm probably more likely to do that. To me, that's just a little bit more intuitive, and that is, in fact, okay, let me keep going. Major, so that was minor. You can do it that way. What? Or you could treat that 4th finger right there as a shift. See, this is what I mean. You start to get into these options, but that's super not intuitive coming back down. There's even more options, but mostly trying to leave shifts out of it for now. It's a handful of notes. I would probably do it. Actually, in fact, I would do this: 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, because there's no reason to keep holding on to that extension there. Anywhere you can make it easy, make it easy. If it is easy for you with that extension, sure, that's great. And then you'll find that with Lydian. Oh, what? You can do that. Probably with the shift. I guess I would do it that way. I don't ever do that. I do that. I went through these and then I found the ones that I found easiest to achieve. Probably with the picking of the right hand, you'll notice if you, depending on where you change strings, it affects the picking. There's Lydian, starting on the third finger. I would just choose the ones that were most natural, and then I would go back and get the other ones, because in certain scenarios they'll help you. And like I said, the whole idea is to connect your ear to the places your fingers are going, and we're just using a limited number of notes, just 5 notes, to make that problem a little bit easier. So, and then finally we've done 1, 2, 3, and now we do 4. So this one I probably do this way. I prefer first finger extensions to fourth finger extensions, which means I prefer to put a fret between the first finger and second finger than I do between the third and the fourth finger, but other people's hands are different. Starting on the 4, so there's Lydian, there's major, there's minor, and there's Phrygian. And now you've done that in all those places. And notice that as you start on the third or fourth finger, what tends to happen is that you go down towards the G string, and if you start on your first finger, or you play the B that's down here on the G string, and when you start on your first or second finger, you tend to go there, but it's not an absolute rule. And then what you need to do with that is look at that in different locations on the neck, because the configuration of the notes changes according to whether or not you've got the B string involved. So, when you come up here, starting on the second finger or the first finger, and it changes because the frets are closer together too, so you're going to make some different decisions about how you're going to do it. But when you go to the fourth finger, that's one where it really illustrates the difference. If I just do this major on the D, G, and B string, and then it's a different configuration. I end up on that second finger there of your hands. Okay, good enough?
Yep.